Leave 0. 0 4. Leave 0. 0 7 bullet 0 0. Leave 0. Oh. Leave 0. Leave 0. Star Original. Star Originals. Section sign movies. Series. Home. 2. Toyland Trouble. Finish. Leave 0. 19. iDisney Star. Y. Leave 0. 21. 3. Dagger work list.
Stop.
Speech off.
Alright.
Graphic clickable 3. 3 part 3. Time to fly 1800. Blank. Grammarly out. Make clickable button full screen. Toggle button full screen. Full screen.
We're gonna do episodes 3, 4, and 5. Oh yeah. We're gonna have a triple watch because I wanted to show you guys these together. The first two, it was kind of slow, but hey, they set up characters. You know the deal. So here they go.
Sliders, button exit full screen. Sliders 3632.
What the?
Main landmark clickable 3632. Post play. Clickable mainland. Oh. Post. Click button exit full screen. Toggle button next episode. Button unavailable. Skip ahead 10. Button play. Pause.
Oh.
Toggle button not press mute. Button next episode. Toggle button not press mute. Button pause. Button next episode. Button play.
Whoever keeps spamming it. What the hell? Hold on.
Button play. Button next episode. Button not available. Button full screen. Press ESC to exit full screen. Button next episode. Button not available. Skip. Button play. Button not available. Skip back 10 seconds. Button play. Button not available. Skip ahead 10 seconds. Button next episode. Blank. Button not available. Skip. Start window.
Okay, we're getting our stuff.
Chrome.
Sorry, rough start. 1 second, guys.
New tab Google Chrome.
So, what do you guys think this episode is gonna be about? I already seen all of the next 3, and we're in for a
Champions
nice
Google Docs Team
surprise.
selection room. S unselected. Disselected. Blank. Grammarly out of banner. Button skip to graphic link button skip to link search navigation landmark banner. No next link originals. No next no link search link home link search unknown main landmark equals search as Asoka. Clear search field link graphic Asoka. Button children's button help button cloak button supported button gift is button about us button Disney Plus partner pro but copyrighted mode out of grouping.
We're getting there.
Graphic clickable 4. 3 graphic clickable 3. Part 3. Time to fly 3. Part
Okay.
3. Grammarly mode. Out. Button next step. Button. Toggle button not press mute. Button full screen.
Now, come on, do your magic. You gotta be shitting me.
Toggle button next step. Button unavailable. Button play. Pause. Playback resumed. Pause. Button unavailable. Skip ahead. Button next episode. Toggle button not press mute. Unmute pressed. Pressed. Volume. Button next episode. Button. Playback resumed. Button exit full screen. Playback resumed. Button unavailable. Skip ahead 10 second. Button next episode. Playback main landmark. Post play. Click. Button play. Play button. Button play. Button unavailable. Skip back 10 blank. Button play. Button unavailable. Skip ahead. Button next episode. Button exit full screen. Playback. Button exit full. Disney Plus video. Playback resume.
Well.
Main landmark. Clickable. Button full screen. Playback resume. Button unavailable. Skip ahead 10. Button next episode. Button full screen. Playback resumed. Main landmark. Clickable play. Button. Playback resumed. Main landmark. Grammarly.
What the hell?
Play. Button out of it. Blank. Button S1. Button Asoka. Button back.
What's wrong with
Button
it?
not available. Skip back 10 second. Blank. Button play. Button play. Button not available. Button next episode. Button not available. Skip ahead 10 seconds. Button next episode. Button full screen. Playback resumed. Back button Asoka S1E3. Banner graphic clickable logo. Link home. Link series. Menu button collapse submenu Spartan. Mainline graphic Asoka. Graphic rating TVP. Graphic 2020. Button play. Button trailer. Toggle button try group watch and watch together. S1E Hera tank S1E3 part 3. Navigation tab selected collapse tab S1E3. button, S1, hair rectangles with navigation landmark tab selected, expanded in the additional content tab selector on the details screen, tab selected, tab select, S1E3, button, try group watch and talk, button, trailer, S1E3, main landmark. In the additional content,
What the fuck?
try group watch and navigation landmark. Add the current title to your watch, trailer button, play button. Search, sliders. 1, 2 of 2,193, 3 of 2. Skip recap button. Sliders, unmute toggle button, mute, not, full screen, sliders, skip recap.
I'm dumb. Alright, boys. Sorry, I had to focus there for a minute.
Unable to play media. Grouping out of grouping back button, Asoka S1E3 part 3. Time to fly button, audio and subtitles menu. Button back, button S1E blank. Toggle button not press sub menu up blank. Button restart. Button skip back 10. Button skip ahead 10. Button next episode. Toggle button full screen. Button press ESC to exit.
Looks like I can't skip to the recap. I waited too long. Good old chopper.
Toggle button blank button back button Asoka button S1E blank. Toggle button not press sub menu audio and subtitles menu. Blank button restart. Button skip ahead. Button next episode. Toggle button exit full screen.
I'm ready. Boy.
They make the jump to light speed in their T6 shuttle. Light shimmers over a metallic logo of a word, forming an arch over the letters LTD, Lucasfilm Limited. Light sweeps over the helmets and heads of various Star Wars characters and droids, including Darth Vader, C-3PO, an HK droid, Marok, Huyang, a clone trooper, and Chopper. An outline sharpens around the logo, Star Wars. While the T6 travels through hyperspace, Sabine uses a wooden Boking saber to train with Huyang, who projects 4 holographic cylinders for her to strike at different angles. Asoka enters the combat.
That's cool. David Tennant's freaking good.
Sabine practices a different form with each instruction. Clutching a hollow projector in each of his 4 arms, Huyang maneuvers himself to run drills in various configurations. Sabine swings her blade downward and holds.
Done.
The hologram shows her cut marks.
Dude, I love the droids in this universe.
He turns off his 4 projectors.
I see you still remember the basics. Enough to get by?
Jeez, bro, the droids. I love the droids in this show.
I'm not certain Lady Wren is ready for that technique.
Thank you, Ria. Yes, thank you, Ria.
The droid puts away his training tools.
Your skill with a weapon comes from your Mandalorian upbringing. Those skills alone will not be enough to defeat our enemy. Yeah, I learned that the hard way. You're training the body, but you must also open your mind. Learning to wield the Force is a deeper commitment.
Huyang repositions himself to watch the 2 of them.
How?
Sorry.
That's something you'll have to discover.
Well, I discovered that according to Huyang, I'm the worst candidate to be a Jedi out of every Jedi who's ever known.
You told her that?
It's true.
Ahsoka returns the training room.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
I think it does.
Agree.
Here. Aside. Sabine looks at the attached blast shield. Interesting.
Start window.
Ahsoka gives her a serious look.
TP
Sabine
link.
puts
See
down
web
her
results.
gun, her
Press
eyes
right
and
to
face
switch preview 1 of 1 level
completely
1.
covered by its blast shield mask.
Can't see. How am I supposed to fight?
Ahsoka places the book in.
dude, that's like the reference to episode
Touchpad
4.
settings. System settings.
Let's go.
Press right to switch
She
preview
grabs
1
the
of
book in
volume
her
settings.
hand from the
Touchpad.
cabinet.
Leave touchpad toggle button pressed.
Now what?
Not pressed.
Oh, jeez.
He's dead. Listen to my voice.
Disney.
Ahsoka walks across the room to Huyang. Sabine continues to
Task
go
view
toward the
window.
equipment
Running
cabinet.
application.
Next to Huyang. Are you sure?
Ahsoka now stands on her other side.
Very funny.
She lifts her arms up.
If you dare.
Not if I could see you.
Exactly. Now lower your visor and concentrate.
Sabine
Fuck.
puts it back down over her face. Ready position. She moves into a sword fighting stance. Feel my presence. Take in all that is around you. The two of them slowly circle around.
Sorry, I don't have my camera thing, and I don't want to hold this the whole time.
Sense my intention. Asoka moves out of our view. Now, standing beside the apprentice, she taps her on the left shoulder with her broken. Reacting on reflex, Sabine swings up to defend herself, but Asoka's broken has already been withdrawn.
Got him.
Sabine resets herself when another tap comes in on her right shoulder. She spins for a
Got him
tap.
again, Brent.
Asoka easily blocks it and sends her reeling backwards. Sabine regains her footing. She tries to get a bead on her master, who passes behind her undetected. Asoka stops in front of Hu Yang. Watching Sabine pivot uncertainly, she gently reaches out her broken and taps her on the shoulder once more. The apprentice counters too late again. Watching her head swivel left and right, Asoka begins to circle around her. She taps Sabine's wrist. The Mandalorian spins for a counter-strike and is sent backwards by a firm block. Asoka moves more swiftly now, their wooden sabers clashing. Sabine strikes at her aggressively.
Training
her
sabers.
in the air. Hu Yang blinks his photoreceptors as he observes
Now that's
the
something cool I've never seen yet, I don't
her
think.
broken finally connects with Asoka's
Blinks
for
the
a
wooden
couple of
sabers.
strikes until she loses track of her again. Sabine slows down her movements. She turns her back on Asoka, who quietly extends her weapon. Slowly pivoting on her heel, Sabine strikes it away. Asoka blocks a series of incoming attacks, then sweeps the Padawan's foot and sends her crashing to the deck. Sabine pulls up the visor and looks at her master standing over her.
She
Anger
won.
and frustration are quick to get power. But they also unbalance you. Standing with his arms folded behind his back, Hu Yang watches Asoka hoist her broken up onto her own shoulder. Let's go again. Over black, a stylized white title appears with a line running through it, and the letter O presented with a stem connected to a dot at its center. Star Wars, Asoka. Part 3, Time to Fly. In space, a squadron of A-Wings joins up with the New Republic Starfleet and flies toward the command ship Home 1. They buzz the bridge tower on the Nabi Mon Calamari star cruiser. On board, Hera observes a pair of officers conferring outside a doorway.
She's waiting. There are several things to with her.
The general clerks her brows before leading the two inside the war room, where they join a conference of horror projections.
Chancellor Lafla, Senator. Hey, the crowd. How's young Jason?
Fine, Chancellor. In fact, he's on board. Somewhere.
Causing trouble with Chopper, no doubt.
Unlikely.
Forgive me, Madam Chancellor, but if we could just hear the general's report, late as it is.
Quite right, Senator Vienna.
I wonder how old Hera is. 40s, 30s?
My investigation into the attack on the Vesper led me to Desante shipyards on Corellia, where I was attacked by Imperial loyalists, still working for Morgan Outfit.
Outliners. We have former Imperials working throughout every level of the New Republic government, and they've all taken an oath of loyalty.
Long live the Empire doesn't sound like the kind of loyalty we're looking for.
The senators stare impassively.
It was my understanding that the offenders were arrested and the facility shut down pending further investigation.
Yes, but I believe their activity speaks to a larger operation,
It always does.
involving Thrawn.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Oh,
How is that possible? He disappeared years ago.
I hope
I have reason to
if they
believe-
retcon. No, wait, it's gonna go into the sequels, but they better explain the Emperor and other stuff.
Certain of this?
'Cause
If I could get approval to send a task force to the Denab system, I could find out.
they can't just kill him off.
General, be honest. Isn't this just another attempt to gain New Republic resources to aid in what has ultimately been your personal quest to find Ezra Bridger?
Ezra vanished while fighting Thrawn.
And that you conveniently use a threat of Thrawn's return to acquire those resources that could be put to a more practical purpose, helping the people of our fledgling republic.
Were you ever in the war, Senator?
No.
Chancellor Mothma averts her gaze from the general. He sat back and waited to see if he got on top. Other senators look over to see his reaction, while the Chancellor gives Hera a sharp glance. Ziono just stares coldly.
General Syndulla, I'm sure we are all grateful for your service and role in restoring the Republic. We, as senators, serve the people.
Senators, gotta hate them.
You're out there doing that. Don't we?
Yeah, we gotta do stuff first. Senators be like, bro.
Unless Thrawn returns.
Make your point, General.
Thrawn is not your typical Imperial officer.
Oh, no, he's not.
I know because I fought against him. He killed friends, people who were like family to me.
He did? Just species.
I've spent most of my life fighting
Red
him.
eye,
That's
blue
why I'm
skin,
trying to
the
convince you to
aliens.
help me prevent another one.
Grand Admiral Thrawn is dead. I'm sorry to say, it's my opinion that your friend, Ezra Bridger, heroically died with him.
You don't know that.
General, Hera, allow me a moment to speak with my colleagues.
Hera clasps her gloved hands together.
Committees.
Chancellor.
Just get on with it.
They eye her stonily. Hera turns and exits the room, followed by her two junior officers. Chancellor Mothma blinks her troubled eyes as she watches them depart.
Mom, is it true Anakin's gonna be a Jedi?
Now, where did you hear that?
Chopper told me.
He shrugs his thin metal arms.
I want to be a Jedi.
And
She gives the boy's shoulder a warm squeeze. A new scene wipes in to show Asoka joining her apprentice in the common room on her ship.
You did well today. And again, you were.
Chopper's like, what? Nuh-uh.
Well, like I said,
He
when
growl.
you can
I
handle
love Chopper.
the rest of
Dude,
us
Chopper's
have
great.
trouble. Always has been. It takes time. I know.
I was hoping that the urgency of our situation could expedite my training a bit.
I'm afraid it doesn't work like that.
I know, I can't use the Force. I don't feel it. Not like you do.
Sabine throws back a drink.
Force resides in all living things, even you.
If that's true, then why doesn't everyone use it?
Talent is a factor.
The Padawan lowers her gaze and purses her red lips.
But training and focus are what truly defines someone's success.
Asoka extends her hand and focuses on a small ceramic cup. It slowly slides across the table into her grip.
Not everyone can handle the type of discipline it takes to master the use of force.
Sabine watches with a smile as Asoka downs her drink inside the cup, then sets it back on the table.
Oh.
That's small.
She gets up and walks away. Sabine shifts her pensive gaze, then looks up and follows her with her eyes.
Asoka. I'm going to give this my best.
Asoka
Yes,
smiles
sir.
before continuing out. Out of the corner of her eye, Sabine looks down at her master's cup on the table. Ahsoka enters the cockpit to find Hu Yang sitting there as they travel through hyperspace. She takes the pilot's seat.
Any word from her about our support from the New Republic?
No, not yet. So, what do you think of our progress?
She's frustrated. Still a challenge for her.
You both knew this wouldn't be easy.
Well, what you said didn't help.
I only spoke the truth. The Jedi Order would not have accepted her. She is not an acceptable candidate.
By their standards.
Standards which were proven over a millennium.
And failed.
You realize, historically, there have been very few Mandalorians who ever became a Jedi.
I don't need Sabine to be a Jedi. I need her to be herself.
Well, I suppose you do come from a long line of non-traditional Jedi. That way, she fits right in.
Ahsoka chuckles ponderously. Back in the common room, Sabine keeps her focus fixed on the cup. Bowing her head, she closes her eyes and lifts her hand off the tabletop with small movements. She concentrates.
Force is in all of us.
Her hand tilts and strains, her fingers faintly beckoning the cup. She squints open her eyes and sees that it hasn't moved an inch. Centering her focus, she tries once more with her eyes open. A view from her perspective slowly pushes in on the small ceramic shot cup. She throws back another drink from her own cup.
You win this round?
She gets up, leaving behind the unmoved cup. Now, the upper fin of a T6 cuts in front of our view as it overtakes us flying down the hyperspace tunnel. Sabine joins the others in the cockpit to find a hologram on the console.
Great. How far are you in the fleet?
Unfortunately, I won't be joining you for this one. And neither will the fleet.
What?
The Senate committee wouldn't approve the mission.
The Senate committee?
I told you, bro. Committees, don't trust them. They're a waste of time.
Hera? Liang, what's happening?
We've entered the data system. All comm transmissions being jammed.
Not from hyperspace. Let's see what Morgan's been hiding out here. The streaking stars pull back outside the cockpit. The T6 jumps out of hyperspace and orients its wings to a horizontal position as it flies toward a distant planet.
Why did we drop out of hyperspace so far from the planet?
Standard Jedi mission protocol when approaching an unknown situation in order to avoid enemy
Is
surveillance.
it still doing this? Program.
Programming.
In any case, my last scan indicates that transport was in orbit on the far side of the planet. However, there also seems to be a second object, something much larger.
A Star Destroyer?
Negative. Whatever it is has a signature which is unknown to me.
The Jedi shuttle whips right past our view to reveal two squadrons of 3 ships each converging in pursuit behind it. The fighters all sport front-mounted wings, with the leader of each group distinguished by gold side panels. Shin flies in one, Marok in the other. With the planet still far in the distance, the fighters close in.
Tracking two squadrons of 3 miles.
Carol done here. On it.
Sabine runs out of the cockpit. A view from outside the ship shows a bubble turret positioned above the main engines. Sabine squeezes into the gunner's seat and activates her targeting display.
Check in. So you got rid of my presets. I never needed them. So you say? I'll be back.
One of the enemy fighters levels out its wings.
2M3. Close range and engage.
The 2 subordinate ships in her squadron fly ahead and launch an attack on the T6. Sabine spins the tail gun and returns fire, but the nimble craft evade her blasts. Shin swoops in and peppers the back of the shuttle with green laser fire. Fending off another attack run, Sabine's blasts continue to miss their mark.
Hold it steady. Remember, learn, now's not the time for a lesson. It's just a little rusty.
Marok concentrates his fire on the shuttle's starboard wing. Sabine lines up another shot, but the incoming fighters once again escape unscathed.
Doing anything yet?
On the object, no. However, I have several thoughts on everything else going on.
Not now.
There won't be a later.
Asoka's eyes betray a fire look. Shin weaves left and right in her lead fighter, avoiding
Oh, like,
Sabine's red laser bolts as she
little lasers
bombards
like
the
that.
shuttle with more blasts. Rocked in the cockpit, Asoka clenches her jaw.
Sabine, tell me what you need. Move on my signal? Copy.
Copy.
Alright. Get ready. Ready.
The T6 closes in on the planet, with the fighters coming in hot. Sabine's gun barrels line up for a shot. The nearest fighter launches an attack. Asoka executes a tight maneuver.
Let's go, Asoka Queen.
With the fighters appearing to spiral in front of her, Sabine unleashes another burst of fire, but they continue to evade her red laser blast. The T6 levels out again.
Yes, I had them, but missed. Don't worry about it. You'll get another chance. We got 2 more incoming. Dead ahead.
Piloting one of the 2 incoming crafts, Marok fires a salvo.
Ta-da.
Ready?
The shuttle rolls between the 2 fighters, causing them to veer apart and giving Sabine a shot.
Nice.
Still under pursuit, the T6 draws close to the planet Cetos.
2-6, with me.
2 of the fighters follow Shin's lead.
They're forming up. Let's roll them. Copy that.
Let's do this.
tell me when?
Wearing an air mask flight helmet, one of the pilots throttles in closer for an attack.
What now?
The shuttle's wings spin around its center fuselage, changing its course.
Toolbox down! Oh yeah, anything?
We should be able to make visual confirmation now.
Ahsoka's pale blue eyes stare ahead and see the Eye of Sion in orbit just above the planet's horizon.
If I had to guess, I would say it is some sort of hyperspace ring.
I'd love to confirm that. Wings spinning back into horizontal alignment, the shuttle rockets forward under fire.
They're entering your sector.
On the eye, arched bronze-colored girders act as a ceiling over the bridge where droids man the navigation stations.
I'm surprised you let them get this far. Stay clear. I should deal with them. Prepare turbo lasers.
A cannon rotates into position. Shin looks to the other lead fighter flying alongside her.
Rock, trying to hold my wing away from my signal.
Sabine sees the enemy craft bending away.
Fighters have broken off. You better get up there. Copy.
Just keep the ship steady while I attempt to run my scan.
The T-6 flies at the mysterious ringed space object.
Turbo lasers. Fine. I'm ready.
Opening fire. The cannons blast a volley of green lasers at the shuttle, which maneuvers evasively. Sabine arrives in the cockpit.
I am starting to receive data.
Manage the deflectors. Copy?
The flak intensifies as they get closer to the Eye of Sion. The T-6 swings side to side to dodge the blasts.
How interesting. I would never have guessed
Is there
that.
anything you need?
Not yet. See if you can get a little closer.
You crosswise?
Closer, please.
The shuttle performs a series of rolls amid the bursts of incoming turbo lasers. Morgan observes the T-6 beyond a trio of tracking screens positioned between her and the viewport. She wears a confident smile. The shuttle's cockpit shakes from the intense bombardment.
Steady, steady. This is intolerable.
Watch closer.
I told you to elect these droids.
The ship spins its wings again. Morgan's smile grows wider. The T-6 takes on more and more fire the closer it gets.
Just a moment. Just a moment. Scan complete.
A shower of sparks fills the cockpit.
Destroyed.
Morgan shoots the navigator droid an unsatisfied look. Out in space, the damaged T-6 floats through the ring with its engines dead, shedding particles of debris from one of its wings. In the cockpit, the droid lies slumped and sparking at his station.
Yank down. Leave, I need you to run a full diagnostic. We prioritize Sabine. We can't help Wu Yang if we're both dead. Now get on it.
Sabine hurriedly works her controls. Back on the Eye of Sion.
More. Congratulations. We almost got them.
I know eyes on them. We'll take it from here.
Morgan watches the three remaining fighters streak past her viewport.
What's working? Not much. Our backup kicked in, but we're dead in space. No hyperdrive, no cannons.
We got incoming. Look fast. I'm going up there.
Out there. Out where? Just keep working. I'll distract them.
Left in the cockpit, Sabine returns to her work. The three enemy fighters close in on the defenseless T-6, with Shin flying lead.
We have them.
Out in space, the squadron shoots straight at us. Now, Sabine hotwires a couple fuses.
I hope you know what you're doing.
An exterior door opens on the shuttle, and Asoka steps out wearing a blue and white spacesuit with a clear mask over her face and fabric encasing her head tails. Her white sabers spark to life in both of her hands. Moving out onto the wing, she sees the three enemy fighters approaching through the Eye of Sion. Marok shifts his helmeted gaze inside his ship.
I see her.
Shin opens fire at Asoka. She deflects with her sabers, then falls through zero-G to the fuselage to dodge the ships. Sabine glances at the inert droid in the cockpit.
For one time, I could use your advice.
Ahsoka prepares herself against another attack run. Shin opens fire. Ahsoka deflects the blast, then cartwheels off the fuselage and slashes through one of the ships, destroying it. Sabine sees the explosion from the cockpit.
Ahsoka.
Did you fix the ship yet?
She spots Ahsoka tumbling weightlessly past the windows, then sits down in the pilot seat and powers up the controls.
I got it. Great. Look at me.
The remaining two fighters close in on the free-floating Jedi. Sabine twists the control
Asoka
dial.
Tano.
The shuttle's wings rotate around the fuselage toward Asoka, allowing her to regain her footing. As she takes off running, Shin opens fire. Outrunning the blasts, Asoka swings herself inside the ship's open door. The shuttle's engines blaze to life and rocket it toward the planet.
Nice trick. Got any more? Buckle up.
Sabine throws a pair of controls counter to one another, sending the T-6 into a rolling nosedive into the upper atmosphere of Cetos. The two fighters pursue the shuttle through the clouds. Shin maneuvers to keep pace with the fleeing ship. A view from atop the T-6 shows the incoming blasts of green lasers missing their mark amid the hairpin movements.
Tracking something up ahead. Another ship?
No.
What? What is it?
Looking ahead, they see a pair of massive shapes emerging from a cloud bed. Giant creatures with the bodies of whales and the tail tentacles of squid fly out over the shuttle, eliciting awe in the faces of its two occupants. Ahsoka turns to Sabine and the two of them share a smile. Their ship flies around more of the space whales, with the two fighters still hot on their tail. Marok pauses to gaze upon the strange creatures, while Shin keeps her focus on the shuttle. Sabine takes a breath and flies straight towards the closed mouth of one of the creatures, weaving around it at the last second. Ahsoka holds onto the dash as they bank along the body of the beast, headed for its tail while still under assault. Marok's point of view shows the other two ships navigating the twisted tentacles like a thicket of brambles. Firing her laser cannons, Shin struggles to land a solid shot amid their corkscrewing trajectory. The T-6 banks downward between two of the writhing tentacles. Its wings rotate to horizontal positions and navigate a tight squeeze as two tentacles converge from above and below. Sabine and Ahsoka see the path before them closing, but they manage to escape. Shin loses sight of them among the shifting tentacles.
I've got an opening.
Sabine throttles forward into a rolling dive. Back in his ship, Marok shakes his helmeted head. His POV shows the other fighter craft, but no sign of the T-6. Shin searches the sky, but sees only the intermittent shapes of whales and their tentacles among the thick clouds.
The ships they have, the new, like the bad guys have, sound cool.
Far below, the T-6 comes out of its dive and levels out over the ocean towards a shoreline.
Won't lose them for long. Oh, pretty bad shape. Better set us down.
Complete. Oh, took my battery back up a while to cipher, I suppose. What did I miss?
We almost died. Multiple times.
Ah, yes. Standard operating procedure.
Ahsoka and Sabine both
Ah,
speak.
yes. Stand operating
With its
procedure.
vertical fins locked in place, the shuttle flies along the coastal cliffs for a bit before rising up and over the tree line. A view from the red forest shows the T-6 coming in and pivoting to its horizontal wing configuration as it lowers. It descends into the dense trees and disappears among their crimson foliage.
Yeah, boy.
Shut the power down.
I protest. I have a lot of work to do.
Standard Jedi protocol.
I suppose that's true.
Shutting down.
Ahsoka deactivates the Yang while Sabine turns off the ship. The T-6 Jedi shuttle sits dormant beneath the dense forest canopy. With the Yang slumped over their head, Ahsoka and Sabine look up toward the sky from their cockpit.
I love the. I keep saying I love the droids.
They watch as the two enemy fighters rocket over the treetops above them. Shin scans the red forest from her cockpit. Marok does the same.
Any sign of them? They must be hiding in the forest. Let's regroup.
The fighters meet up and fly off over the treetops. While they take
They don't
the
sound
flight,
like
the
TIE
T-6
fighters.
remains undiscovered in the
What are
forest
they?
below.
Think we can chance it?
Sabine hits some switches on the dash panel, and Ahsoka turns the Yang's power back on. He looks to his workstation in front of him. Ahsoka sits back down in the co-pilot seat. She faces Sabine, whose eyes continue to scan the dark forest canopy.
Are you alright? Haven't seen those creatures since the day Ezra disappeared.
Asoka squints at her.
Anything interesting?
Indeed. The good news is the enemy vessel is still under construction and not yet complete. There are 6 hyperdrive engines in place, with the final one being set into position.
So it is a hyperspace ray.
Yes, but I have never seen one built on this scale before. A craft with these power levels and configuration would be capable of a hyperspace jump of astonishing speed and distance.
Then could a ring like that make a jump to a neighboring galaxy?
Theoretically, if one knew the coordinates and navigation, yes, I believe it could. The Jedi archives speak of intergalactic hyperspace lanes between galaxies, which used to follow the migration paths of star whales named Purgle.
Pego.
Like the ones we just saw.
Really?
As his two companions share a
Wow.
look, their image wipes away to reveal puddles in the terraced stone steps leading up to the henge. Balin stands atop the ceremonial dais with an HK droid and a team of guards wearing masks and breathing tubes lined up behind him.
The Jedi have taken refuge in the forest. Hunt them down.
Oh, that was like a different
The
language.
guards split up into groups and
Dude,
head
those
out
guards
in
gotta be
different
cool.
directions toward the red forest.
Haha.
Crates of supplies rim the edge of the dais behind Balin, with his shuttlecraft parked just outside the henge. His black cloak billowing in the wind, the gray-bearded false Jedi wears a brooding gaze, cut to black.
Oh. Okay, we're gonna see the next
While
episode.
puddles appear, our view follows a golden trajectory line on a journey through
Slider
various corners
519
of the
mainline
galaxy.
post play post click button exit full screen slider button exit full talk button next episode main post button buttons button unavailable skip ahead 10 button skip back 10 seconds button blank toggle button blank button back
Words
button
appear previously
S1E4
on
blank
Asoka.
toggle button not blank toggle button not press submenu audio and subtitles menu blank button restart button skip back 10 seconds button pause button skip ahead 10 seconds button next episode toggle button not
Over the helmets and heads of various
button
Star Wars
slider
characters and
70
droids,
38
including
mainline
Darth Vader,
grammarly out
C-3PO, and
toggle
HK
button
droid
next
Morak,
episode
Huyang,
top button
a
full screen
Stormtrooper, and Chopper.
button
An outline sharpens around the logo, Star Wars.
Star Wars. Star Wars. I need
Balin
to
enters the shuttle's cockpit and steps over Huyang doing repair work from the floor. She takes a seat in the co-pilot's chair. A panel sparks as Huyang works on it.
Command, Helm 1, do you read us? Sarah, do you copy? Command, Helm 1,
I think it's jammed.
read us. Over. Still no good.
I will try to cannibalize some wiring from the secondary motivator and see if I can rewire the transmitter.
Sabine nods.
Where's Asoka?
Outside.
She steps back over Huyang on her way out of the cockpit. Exiting the ship down its lowered ramp, she finds Asoka staring into the dark and misty forest of red-leafed trees.
Comms are still down and the primary power converter is offline. We can't send a distress signal and our ship isn't going anywhere. Ian said their ground base isn't far. Okay. Sounds good.
Sabine turns to head back up the ramp.
The enemy has the map and the means to get where they want to go.
Ahsoka's pale blue eyes scan the forest as her Padawan returns to her.
I fear we face a difficult choice.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Which is, if we can't make the journey to find Ezra,
Oh.
then no one should.
She turns to peer over her shoulder at Sabine, who averts her gaze, sucks in her cheeks, and shakes her head.
It won't come to that. It might have already. You'd be stranded out there. Maybe this time for good. Better that. And allowing Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
Her troubled eyes darting, the Padawan grudgingly nods, then lifts her brow and looks at her squarely.
Let's find that ground base.
She starts up the ramp again.
Sabine,
She stops and turns back around.
can I count on you? You know you can.
With a glare, Sabine continues up the ramp into the ship. Asoka pensively lowers her eyes, then turns around to look back into the forest.
That's so
Behind her
good.
shoulder, Hu Yang comes down the ramp carrying a toolkit.
Is everything alright?
Asoka keeps her gaze fixed among the trees.
Be careful out here.
Hu Yang watches as she turns around and heads up the ramp. His yellow photoreceptors glance out at the forest, then he walks his mechanical body to one of the ship's landing struts, his internal wiring exposed around his midriff. He stops and sets his toolkit down. As he opens a panel and starts going about his work, a dark shape watches him from among the trees, its arm and hip glinting dully in the overcast daylight. The spying droid tightens its fist and walks off. A new scene wipes in to reveal Morgan and Balin overlooking the sea from the ancient stone henge. While guards and technicians work around the perimeter of the site, the other two false Jedi walk forth.
Master, we received word. We've located the Jedi starship.
How far out of it?
About a dozen clicks.
Tell them to move in.
The guards would not delay them long.
Balin looks to his apprentice.
You will.
She and her black-armored cohort both respond with an obedient nod before swiftly departing.
Damn.
Balin
Who are
eyes
these
Morgan,
people?
still gazing out to sea.
They're not
Talk to
inquisitors.
us soon.
Is there a note of fear in your voice?
Experience.
Experience.
Over black, a stylized white title appears with a line running through it and the letter O presented with a stem connected to a dot at its center. Star Wars, Asoka. Part 4, Fallen Jedi.
Oh, maybe that's the title.
Now, sparks rain down as Hu Yang works on some wiring inside the open panel on the T6. In a view from the forest, double-barreled rifles move across the foreground, held by guards positioning themselves among the trees. Inside the common room on the shuttle, an armored Sabine sets a control on one of her wrist gauntlets. She then roots around in her rucksack on the raised table before checking the power cell cartridge slots on a pair of angular Mandalorian blaster pistols laid out beside it. While she searches the rucksack once more, Asoka crosses into view behind her in the main corridor to the cockpit. Sabine feverishly digs around in the bag. Asoka takes notice as she goes to retrieve a garment from her bunk. She pauses what she was doing and walks into the common room. While her apprentice continues to search every nook and cranny of the bag, Asoka picks up a small clip from behind her helmet on the table and holds it out to her.
Relax.
Sabine takes it and loads it in a blaster.
Don't worry about me.
I'm not.
Nice.
What?
That's satisfying.
Nope.
Asoka watches her holster the pistol and continue her prep work.
I know how much Ozzy means to you.
The Jedi Master takes a seat on the table. Sabine holsters the other blaster before meeting her gaze.
Sometimes we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings.
The Padawan's eyes shift back down toward the tabletop.
You really believe that? When the stakes are this high, I have to.
Sabine looks at her again, then turns her eyes back downward and nods acceptingly. Meanwhile, Hu Yang continues soldering wires together.
One more.
Nice.
Finally, some progress.
He turns to scan the forest around him, which hangs thick with mist.
I think he senses.
His yellow photoreceptors narrow for a few moments. Then he blinks his eyelids and starts to turn for the ramp, when suddenly an HK droid attacks him. Reacting swiftly, Hu Yang dodges the attacker's initial punches. His two extra arms unfold from his backpack to aid him in a fistfight, but the
Nice.
HK droid eventually pins him against the ship and covers his mouth speaker. The guards come out from hiding in the trees. Hu Yang punches the HK droid off of him and severs some wiring in the open panel, causing the lights to go out inside the ship.
That damn droid made it worse. He wouldn't.
Asoka ignites her sabers, and Sabine puts on her helmet. They both hurry down the ramp and join the fray. Sabine shoots the HK
Nope.
droid off of Hu Yang. Asoka
That was
takes
it.
down one of the guards with her sabers, then uses them to deflect incoming blasts. Sabine pistol whips another guard. The master and apprentice fight in concert with one another, covering
So
all directions.
badass.
A guard blasts Sabine in the pauldron, and she shields herself with her arm guards. Asoka uses the force to throw another foe in front of the shooter before flinging him aside again. Sabine fires a cable from her gauntlet, lassos the remaining guard around the neck, and reels him in for her master to finish off. Hu Yang picks himself up off the ground, his photoreceptors blinking. Looking toward the sparking panel, he gives his head a few smacks. He turns and faces the other two.
Well, that will set me back a bit.
Prioritize the transmitter above everything else. I need you to contact General Sindula as soon as you can.
Of course. May I make one request of you both?
Starting to leave, Sabine and Asoka turn back.
Stay together. Always did better that way. In my opinion.
The master and apprentice share a look.
We better get moving.
Sabine bows to Hu Yang.
Oh, very.
She puts on her helmet as she heads off with a grinning Asoka.
You'll thank me.
As Hu Yang watches them decamp into the woods, our view tilts upward toward the forest canopy. A new scene wipes in from top to bottom to show the New Republic fleet orbiting a blue-green planet. On Home 1, Hera crosses the main hangar with Chopper and Jason.
The
One of her
OG ship.
lieutenants hurries after her. She stops and points Chopper toward Jason. The two continue on.
I'm not just gonna sit around and do nothing with that.
But you can't leave without authorization.
Watch me.
She turns and follows her droid son.
There's a meeting of the general staff. What do I tell them?
Think of something.
The flustered lieutenant mutters to himself. Joining Jason and Chopper in the cockpit of a ship, Hera takes the pilot.
Dude, Hera
seat and
kicks
cycles down
ass.
controls.
Mom, how come I have to be around something new?
Well, when you're a general, you can disobey orders too. Until then,
The boy puts on his seatbelt. The cockpit windows show Hera navigating them out of the hangar.
Whee!
The ship emerges from the side of Home 1 into
This
space
is a
and
ghost.
accelerates through the slow-moving fleet. 5 X-Wing fighters with their S-foils closed cruise up alongside it. With its new escort, Hera's light freighter pulls out ahead of the rest of the fleet.
This is the ghost.
for joining the party, Carson.
Haha.
Don't miss it, General.
Oh no, it's not the ghost. Never mind.
You know, you're risking an awful lot by doing this.
Well, you know how it is. Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Carson Tava chuckles in his X-Wing.
On your signal, Phoenix leader.
The squadron tightens up around Hera's ship.
It is the ghost.
All in on 3, 2,
Oh, that's badass.
mark.
Hera lets Jason pull back on her hyperdrive control. The 6 ships jump to light speed, vanishing from space. A new scene wipes in like the dial of a clock to show the Eye of Sion hovering above the cliffside henge on Cetos. Balin and Morgan stand at the edge of the site, buffeted by wind, as they gaze at the giant ring in the sky. Instruments have been set up around the perimeter of the stone dais.
Once the guideline is established, we will be able to calculate the hyperspace coordinates.
For the jump we're attempting, if your calculations are off by even a little, we will be lost to the depths of the void.
Morgan holds her palm above the center pedestal. Half K.
Faith. I lost that a long time ago.
She points her finger downward toward the star map and draws it upward, levitated by a green flame. Without touching the sphere, she unlocks its pinhole projections. The galaxy appears holographically around the map. At a flick of Morgan's fingers, it tilts to one side. A guideline shoots out from the galaxy and flies straight over the crescent in the tallest monolith toward the ring hovering in the sky. All the while, the much larger star charts rise up holographically around the perimeter of the henge and form a dome over the site. Balin stares inscrutably at the celestial projections.
Witchcraft.
On the Eye of Sion, a navigator droid stands before a bank of circular displays.
Calculating hyperspace coordinates.
One of the clear glass panes shows calculations being made in a cluster of 9 circles positioned around a central ring. Down on Cetos, Asoka and Sabine move quickly through the forest. They sprint across the floor of fallen red leaves, weaving around the tall, slender tree trunks and their expansive root systems. Their pace slows to a stop as they encounter 2 figures awaiting them up ahead, Shin and Marok, who wears his Inquisitor's saber hilt hooked across the trapezius of his armor. Balin's apprentice removes her cape. With her exposed saber hilt dangling from the front of her belt, she hops down off a rock and eyes her quarry with a sardonic smile.
Going somewhere?
Asoka detects her helmeted Padawan shifting on her feet. Shin holds Sabine in her cold gaze. The Mandalorian draws her pistols and begins blasting at the false Jedi, who instantly ignites her saber to deflect. While Sabine chases her off through the trees, Asoka displays a hint of a smile, then looks at Marok, who unhooks the hilt from the back of his armor and ignites its twin red blades. The Jedi Master sparks on her white-bladed katana saber and twirls it around in a reverse grip before stopping her opponent with measured steps. The two circle one another. With her blade angled downward, Asoka stands ready. Marok twirls his weapon into a poised behind the back grip. They each hold their position. Marok spins into an attack. Ahsoka skillfully blocks every strike. Their sparking blades come apart as they pause to reset. Ahsoka switches to a two-handed grip on her saber held out in front of her. Meanwhile, Shin runs away from Sabine's blaster fire, turning back occasionally to block and deflect. She uses a tree to shield herself, then surprises her pursuer with a powerful force push that sends her flying back hard into a tree trunk and causes her to lose her pistols and helmet. Sabine acrobatically dodges just in time to avoid a strike that cuts down the tree behind her. The green blade of her own saber sparks up to block the next series of attacks. Back with Ahsoka and Marok. With his double-bladed weapon, the false Jedi tries to attack from a number of angles, but his opponent expertly parries him at every turn. At the henge, Balin paces around Morgan, who stands watching the beam from the star map shine toward the Eye of Sion in the sky. Nearby, a navigator droid monitors a terminal mirroring the one on the spacecraft, which shows 2 of the 9 circles in the ring locked in with coordinates. Back in the forest, Ahsoka raises her saber into an overhead position and waits. Squaring off with her, Marok spins his blades around. Meanwhile, Sabine alternates between attacking and defending, her saber briefly locking up with her opponents a few times. Driven back on her heels, she evades a slash that fells a nearby tree. Now, Marok holds out his hilt with its twin blades spinning around the expanded circle of its grip guard. Ahsoka remains still with her saber poised overhead, watching the red blades pick up speed like a propeller. As Marok moves in for his attack, she sidesteps with a single cut. Blade slow to a stop behind her. Marok rests on his knees with a bright burn mark slashed deep into his armor. Sabine and her opponent lock sabers again. Marok's blades extinguish, and black vapor shoots out from the cut in his armor. Sabine and her opponent both look over. Her kohl-rimmed eyes widened in disbelief. Shin backs off from their duel.
He's dead.
Sabine looks resolutely at her enemy.
He's on his way out.
Saber extinguished, Ahsoka runs off into the forest. Balin's apprentice slowly turns her disdainful gaze on Sabine and tightens up her grip on her weapon with both hands.
You will regret this decision.
The armored Mandalorian backs away from her opponent's advance, their green and reddish-orange sabers both at the ready.
Dude, I told you
As Shin swings into an attack, the scene cuts to Morgan walking over to the calculation readout on the henge screen. A 4th circle locks in. With a satisfied smile, Morgan crosses in front of Balin.
I will prepare for our departure. Protect the map until I send for you.
His cloak billowing, the false Jedi clasps his arms together and stands watching as his boss steps out of the henge. Now, Ahsoka reaches the edge of the forest and stops to observe a ship flying up toward the massive ring looming in the sky. Her wary gaze shifts to the henge. As she nears the perimeter of its holographic dome, she gets a look at its interior and spots the star map projecting its galaxy from atop the central pedestal. She skirts around the outer edge of the site until she gets a view through the monoliths of Balin seated by himself on a stone with the hood of his Jedi cloak pulled up over his head. Ahsoka proceeds cautiously inside the dome.
Anakin spoke highly of you.
Balin's gaze remains averted as she comes to a stop.
Interesting. He never mentioned you.
Rising to his feet, he pulls back the hood to expose his gray-bearded face, then removes his cloak entirely.
Everyone in the Order knew Anakin Skywalker. Few would live to see what he became. Surely that must leave a mark. Is that why you walked away? Abandoned him?
Facing him from roughly 20 yards away, Ahsoka takes off her own cloak, swings it around in front of her, and folds it up.
I'm not here to discuss my past.
She chucks the cloak aside.
The only reason I'm here is to secure the future.
She walks closer to him.
For you.
something far greater.
Ambitious.
Necessary.
And you find starting another war necessary.
I'm not starting a war. But Thrall will. It is an unfortunate evil that speaks to a greater truth. One must destroy in order to create.
He stares into her orange face with its sharp-angled white markings. Asoka breaks the stillness of their standoff by drawing her katana lightsaber. Balin unclasps his own saber hilt from his belt.
How inevitable.
Asoka ignites her katana, its white blade lighting up her warrior's face. Gripping his hilt with both hands, Balin sparks on its flickering reddish-orange blade. With their two unique lightsabers poised at one another, the two combatants begin to move calmly while maintaining the distance between them. Ahsoka's baggy pant legs billow with each carefully measured sidestep. The two enemies are boxed in on all sides by the holographic dome with its translucent field of stars, galaxies, trajectory lines, and measurement scales. Balin stops with his back to the central pedestal, but continues to pivot to keep Ahsoka directly in front of him. She pulls her katana back into vertical alignment with her right side, then slowly angles it downward, poised for an upward stroke. His face a mask of concentration, Balin adjusts his footing into a wider stance. Ahsoka lifts her chin and strikes first. Balin maintains his position as he blocks her attacks. Ahsoka withdraws her katana, held downward in one hand, her face conveying a tinge of admiration. Keeping his blade pointed at her, Balin resumes his two-handed grip on the long hilt. As his opponent assumes a fighting stance, he twirls his saber upward into a high and ready position. Ahsoka angles her katana into a defensive posture. Balin charges her with a couple of strong swings. Dodging him, Ahsoka rebounds off a stone for a counterattack. Balin blocks her as she comes in swinging. Their blades meet at an impasse, and he easily pushes their sabers downward until they spark free against the stone dais. Balin spins into another attack, using his size advantage against her. He corners Ahsoka up against the monolith, his lightsaber scorching the stone as he tries to get past her defensive blocking. Meanwhile, Morgan enters the bridge on the Eye of Sion. She walks up to her displays and watches as the fifth circle locks in.
The Jedi has engaged Lord Balin at the head.
How long till we receive final orders?
Moments.
Back in a henge, Ahsoka leaps off a monolith and strikes swiftly at Balin, driving him back as she tries to breach his defenses. Locking up with her blade, he halts her momentum, then uses the Force to hurl a boulder at her. With lightning reflexes, she slices it in two. She then sets her sights on the star map, using her agility to try to maneuver around her opponent with a series of rolls and flips. The control screen now shows 6 circles locked in. Balin blocks Ahsoka at every pass, then seizes her arm and throws her across the henge. In the forest, the orange and green lightsabers continue to clash, while Sabine's Mandalorian helmet lies in the foreground on a carpet of red leaves. The Padawan struggles to keep up with her skilled opponent. Shin punches her in the face, knocking her off balance and causing her to lose her weapon. Sabine blocks a strike with her Beskar arm guard before getting kicked to the ground. She thrusts out her hand, causing her opponent to flinch defensively before realizing nothing's happening. Shin leans in tauntingly. You have no power. Sabine makes a fist, firing a dart from her gauntlet that disarms her foe. Now, Ahsoka kicks one foot up and braces herself on a monolith as she blocks.
Like your masters, is one of death and destruction.
She angrily fends him off and lands a series of powerful kicks that send Balin flying onto his back. Ahsoka races to the map and seizes it from midair, extinguishing its projections. The metal sphere smokes in her hand. It drops from her grip and rolls into some weeds. Meanwhile, Sabine aims her gauntlet at Shin. Distracted by the thunder for a split second, she gives Shin the opportunity to fling a smoke bomb from her belt. As the fog dissipates, Sabine looks around with her gauntlet still aimed, but finds her gone. She drops her arm, scoops up her saber, and takes off. Now on the Eye of Sion.
What's happened?
Transmission of the coordinates has ceased at the source. The final calculation is incomplete.
Ahsoka nurses her hand.
That was unwise.
Balin attacks, forcing her to defend herself one-handedly. He pressures her back to the edge of the dais, overlooking the sea. A horrified expression overcomes her as she sees his apprentice arriving at the site. Shin spots the metal sphere lying in the weeds. Asoka furiously reaches out and grabs Shin with the force, then throws her head first into one of the monoliths, knocking her out. Balin resumes his attack. Asoka stumbles to a lower tier of the stone terrace, back to the very edge of the sea cliff. She struggles to defend herself with her one good hand.
You need to come to this. You know no other way.
Stop!
Balin looks over his shoulder and Asoka gapes.
Speed. Destroy it!
Holding the star map, Sabine points her blaster at it point blank.
Step away from her!
Balin looks back at Asoka and clocks her defeated gaze. With a mighty strike, he sends her plummeting over the edge of the cliff.
No!
Sabine staggers forward, slack-jawed. As Balin turns to her, she unloads on him with her blaster. He deftly bats the laser bolts away as he walks toward her. Sabine points her blaster at the map again. Balin pauses, lowering his saber towards the ground. Shifting from foot to foot, Sabine eyes him hesitantly.
You should do as your master said. Destroy it.
He takes another step towards her.
She would have done it.
Stay back!
But you're not like her, though, are you?
More than you know.
She skittishly holds the blaster closer to the sphere in her hand. Balin closes his eyes in meditation. Reopening them, he stares directly at Sabine.
I know you feel that Ezra Bridger is the only family you have left.
He clips his saber hilt back to his belt. Sabine struggles to keep her composure.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know that's what's holding you back.
He continues to move closer.
Your family died on Mandalore because your master didn't trust you.
He read her mind.
Sabine, you and I share a common goal. Make this chapter.
Sabine's eyelids flicker as she stares at him.
You need to be reunited with your long-lost friend. Die. To serve a greater good.
As he steps right in front of her, she looks him up and down with hesitation.
Come with me. Wait. I give you my word. No harm will come to you. Sabine. You will be reunited with your friend.
Balin extends his hand. Sabine protectively pulls away the star map and looks at him.
It's the only way. Do it. For Ezra.
Her fingers tighten around the sphere, then she stares at it and loosens her grip a bit. She glances aside indecisively. Balin keeps his hand extended to her. Sabine slowly reaches out, turns the sphere downward, and places it into his palm. As she withdraws her hand, her breath quickens with anxiety. Balin smiles at her and paces across the dais. Sabine's sharp breathing suddenly ceases. Reaching a hand up to her throat, she collapses to reveal Balin's apprentice standing behind her with one arm outstretched. Sabine gasps on all fours.
Force choke.
Shin, release her.
The apprentice holds firm.
Shin,
She finally relents, allowing Sabine to catch her breath.
I gave her my word. And unlike her former master, I shall keep mine.
Balin releases the map above its pedestal. Hovering there in midair, it comes to life again. The holographic dome returns to the henge as the map shoots out its guideline into the sky. On the Eye of Sion,
Lord Balin has remedied the situation. Calculations are complete. The hyperspace route has been established.
Send the shuttle to retrieve the good Lord Balin.
on the T6, Hu Yang connects two wires.
Fulcrum, do you copy? Fulcrum, come in, over.
Yes, affirmative. This is Fulcrum. We are down on the surface of Cetos. Repeat, we are down. Can you send assistance? Over.
Copy, Hu Yang, already here.
Now, Hera and her squadron escort jump out of hyperspace. The ships speed towards Cetos.
What can you tell me?
The enemy has built a massive hyperspace ring. Do not let it escape.
Where is Sabine and Asoka?
They are attempting to stop the enemy from the surface.
General, scans are detecting a ship bearing 5 Mark 16.
I've got it.
Let's cut across the axis and block its path.
At the henge, guards pack up equipment as Balin paces across the dais.
Calculations are complete. Return at once.
Understood.
He unclips his saber hilt from his belt and ignites its blade straight downward into the star map. Sparks fly as the hovering metal sphere heats up. Guarded by Shin, with her wrists in binders, Sabine looks on disconcertedly. Balin's saber breaks the map in half. Extinguishing the blade, he looks to Sabine.
No one will be following us.
He turns away. Shin pushes their captive forward. As they follow Balin toward his shuttle, Sabine glances back at the destroyed star map.
Oh, the ball thingy.
Now, the Eye of Sion rises out of the clouds above Cetos and reaches the edge of space. On the bridge, a navigator droid checks its bank of flat, round screens.
Tracking trajectory. We have a clear guideline. Leaving atmosphere in 5.5. Pressurizing zones 3, 5, 7, and 10. The main drive is now online.
The New Republic ships rapidly approach the ringed starcraft.
Broadcast forms in attack position.
The fighters open their X-shaped wings. Subtitles. They're not launching fighters.
I don't think they're sticking around for a fight.
Balin's shuttle rockets toward the bridge inside the upper section of the massive ring. Now, a circular door rolls open on the Eye of Sion, and the two false Jedi enter the control room with their shackled prisoner. Guards stand posted on either side of the entrance. Hands folded behind her back, Morgan turns to greet the new arrivals and focuses her attention on Sabine.
Tracking 6 incoming New Republic craft. They are obstructing our path.
Hera!
Shin restrains the captive from approaching the viewport. Morgan turns back around and peers into space.
Ignore them. Engage the hyperdrive.
A navigator droid twists a dial at its control station. White light courses down ringed paneling around the engines. Balin shifts his eyes around the arched bridge. The rhythm of the lighting grows faster, the golden glass engine cylinders throbbing with a white glow. Sabine looks around apprehensively. The New Republic ships draw closer to the Eye of Sion.
You gotta hurry up.
That's a tremendous surge in power.
It's the hyperdrive.
They're gonna jump.
The viewport on the bridge shows the stars pulling back into streaks as the massive ring leaps into hyperspace. The New Republic ships get caught in its wake. Two of the X-Wings crash into each other. One of the pilots careens out of control with his ship on fire. Carson sees the wreckage hurtling towards Cetos. Another burning X-Wing just misses Hera's ship. She and the two remaining fighters manage to stabilize.
Oh.
Hera's stunned eyes shift unfocused around her cockpit. Jason regards her from the co-pilot seat.
Mom?
She uneasily meets his gaze.
I've got a bad feeling.
Her eyes drift away again with a heavy-hearted expression. Meanwhile, the T-6 remains at its landing site in the Cetos forest.
Lady Ren, I have completed repairs on the engines. Lady Ren? Sabine, are you there? Lady Tano?
Hu Yang calls into his comlink.
Asoka?
As he looks up into the sky, a new location wipes in from left to right, revealing the henge, now empty of all its occupants and equipment.
Dang,
A
it is
bird's eye view
disappeared.
glides out over the ancient ring of monoliths to show waves crashing to shore in the sea far below. As the view continues out over the turbulent sea, the whitecaps give way to a shimmer of stars in an ethereal galaxy.
Ooh, new galaxy.
Beyond lies a black void, where Asoka lies in a reclined position with one arm raised beside her head, her eyes peacefully closed. Stirring, she opens her blue eyes and looks around disorientedly, while ripples of cosmic dust emanate from an outline around her body. She sits up to find herself resting on a pathway composed of stardust particles that stretches infinitely into the black void of space. Asoka stands, taking in other strings of similar arteries that bridge the interstellar vacuum all around her.
What is this place? This is
An angle from below her lucent catwalk shows the space beneath her feet twinkling with a celestial glow. She looks around, calmly surveying the empty realm.
This has gotta be the rubber between worlds.
Her eyes react with uncertainty, and she resets herself on her feet.
Faster?
Oh my
With
god.
one hand raised toward her head tails, Asoka freezes and shifts her
Anakin.
gaze. Slowly, she turns around to see her former master standing on the pathway behind her, dressed in his dark Jedi robes, with his right hand sheathed in its leather glove. Her jaw hangs slack at the sight. Gazing back at her, Anakin Skywalker flashes a warm smile, his youthful face smooth and serene in the cosmic light. Off of Ahsoka's
He's a
awestruck
ghost.
expression, the picture cuts to black.
Okay, we're going.
While
Dude,
Anakin
Anakin Skywalker.
Slider, button, exit, full screen.
of the galaxy.
Slider 2019 5:15 mainline Grammarly out button full screen toggle button next episode. Grab out of grouping clickable mainline bar post plane clickable sub button back button Asoka button S25 blank toggle button blank toggle button not press button resume toggle button not press sub menu audio button skip back 10 button pause button skip ahead 10 seconds.
Sabine holds the stone. Now, the New Republic ships draw closer to the Eye of Sauron. But face flashes her a warm smile.
Toggle button not press mute button full screen
It's Anakin.
button press ESC to exit full screen alert clickable button next.
Over the letters LTD, Lucasfilm Limited. Light sweeps over the helmets and heads of various Star Wars characters and droids, including Darth Vader,
Dude,
C-3PO,
unbelievable. That's
droid,
freaking
Mark,
awesome.
Huyang, a clone trooper, and Chopper.
Oh, they're
The
new.
line sharpens around a logo, Star Wars. An aerial view glides slowly over the forests of Seatos beneath a cloud-filled sky. Red leaves form a dense canopy that conceals the ground below. A view from within the dank, misty woods travels among its slender black tree trunks. Now a tide rolls in from the dark sea to the shoreline, where white caps crash against the imposing
This has gotta be the
cliffs
world
that lie
between
beneath
worlds.
the ancient henge.
This has gotta be.
Its inwardly slanted stone monoliths point toward the heavens, their tops crowned with crescent-shaped indentations. Our view travels down four closely set blocks that form the site's centermost pedestal, their bases widening the closer they get to the ground. Reaching the bottom, we discover the star map lying broken in two, with one half offering a glimpse of its complicated inner mechanisms. 3 X-Wing starfighters fly overhead past Hera's ship, the Ghost, sitting parked outside the henge. The Twi'lek general disembarks from the ramp with her blaster pistol held out in front of her as she approaches the dark slabs of stone. Her eyes alert, she warily sweeps the area. She lowers her holdout blaster and grabs a comlink from her high-waisted orange cargo pants.
Carson, come in.
Carson.
I got nothing down here. Looks like we missed the party.
Copy, General. There's nothing on the scope. Where is everyone?
That's what worries me. Do a full sweep and report back.
Copy. Over.
Mom,
Jason and Chopper appear on the ramp.
can I come out now?
Hera sweeps her gaze around the henge again.
Alright. But don't wander off too far. We don't know this planet, so keep Chopper with you.
The droid accompanies Jason down the ramp. Hera continues into the henge, striding across the astral markings on its dais. Jason and Chopper follow a short distance behind. Hera wheels around and puts a hand up to her son, who promptly hides behind the droid. Turning back toward the seaside, Hera raises her blaster and points it across the henge. Jason peeks out from behind Chopper's wobbling head to watch her slowly approach the cliff's edge. Beyond one of the largest monoliths, she discovers Hu Yang standing alone, looking down at Sabine's Mandalorian helmet in his robotic hands. Hera lowers her blaster pistol.
Hu Yang?
I told them to stay together.
Hu Yang turns to her, his yellow photoreceptors at half-mast.
But they never listen.
Jason and Chopper approach as he looks back down at Sabine's helmet.
They never listen.
Hera's green-haired son steps out ahead of her and blinks his curious eyes. As they all remain still around the clifftop henge, the picture cuts to black. A stylized white title appears with a line running through it and the letter O presented with a stem connected to a dot at its center. Star Wars, Asoka. Part 5, Shadow Warrior.
Oh.
In their black void, Asoka and Anakin stand suspended on the thin band of stardust. Asoka takes a step closer to her late Jedi master, her footfalls lighting up beneath her.
You look the same.
You look old.
Well, that happened.
She folds her arms.
Actually, what happened?
You lost the fight.
I don't remember.
Trust me. You lost.
We were in school.
So you do remember. That's good.
Anakin walks toward her.
Why?
It means you still have the chance.
Chance.
To live.
Tell me what's going on.
I'm here to finish your training.
It's a little late for that.
One is never too old to learn, Snips.
He steps past her.
He says the
turns around to
nickname.
watch him. She unfolds her arms.
So cool.
What's the lesson? Nothing.
Live?
He ignites his blue lightsaber, holding it out at his side, then turns around to face her.
Or die?
I won't fight you.
He approaches her, causing her to back away as he lifts his blade.
You got before.
His saber swings into an attack, but is blocked by Ahsoka's quickly ignited white katana. Anakin thrusts his weight into their locked blades, pushing her back. He walks toward her again, but this time she stands her ground and pivots into a ready position. As his attack continues, she expertly blocks each of his strikes. She spins out of a lockup of their blades and continues her defense. On Cetos, waves crash into the dark stone cliffs. High above on the henge, Jason sits beside Chopper, who rotates a communications array from atop his flat orange and yellow dome. Behind them, Hera walks around the center of the circle with a portable scanner, while Hu Yang inspects the two fragments of the star map.
Anything?
No, I'm afraid the map is broken beyond repair.
Oh.
Wherever their destination was, we have no hope of following.
Well, once we find Sabine and Asoka, we can worry about that.
Unless the one thing answers the other.
You think they were aboard that ship?
Every minute that passes without finding them here, the alternative becomes less desirable.
Carson Tava joins them in the henge.
We're overdue at HQ. Senator Organa says she can only give us cover for so long.
Hera folds up her scanner.
We're not going anywhere until I know exactly what happened here.
If we stay out here any longer without reporting in, people are going to start asking questions.
Mom, not now, Jason. And it might benefit from people asking a few more questions.
Not if we don't have any answers.
But, Mom, there's something about the water.
She turns her attention to her son.
Oh, yeah.
Walking over to the edge of the henge, she kneels down to his level.
What is it, Jason?
There's something out there, Mom. I can feel it.
Chopper? Jason, if there's anything out there, Chopper would pick it up on the scan.
Oh, Mom.
General, we need to figure out what we're gonna tell Command.
Hera turns back to Carson.
I'll cover it. What good is a high rank if you can't use it every now and then?
Mom, listen. No, listen to the waves.
General,
She raises a hand for him to wait as she steps closer to her son. She closes her eyes.
What are we listening for?
Don't you hear it?
Chopper, Hera, and Jason all stand lined up together, facing out to the vast sea.
The waves crashing? No. The lightsabers.
His mother briefly opens her eyes to give him an unsettled look.
Oh yeah.
She continues to listen intently. Jason listens as well, his face serene.
Lightsabers.
Hera's head cocked slightly to one side.
Yep.
She opens her eyes. She glances down at her son, who looks up and meets her gaze. Hera smiles and shakes her head. She turns and strides back across the henge.
I wonder if she knows who's
Carson, get your squadron airborne. We need you out over the ocean, low altitude, full sweep.
we already did that.
Well, we're doing it again. Yang, you're with me and the ghost.
I wonder who's
Jason,
if they
good
have
work.
lightsabers.
Chopper, stay with him.
Okay, maybe.
What am I missing? What just happened?
Jason has abilities. His father, Kanan Jarrus, was a Jedi.
Okay. We gotta get on it then. Lander! Get
Carson's
everyone
like,
moving. We're
okay.
going back up again.
Okay.
Carson runs for his X-Wing.
Alright.
Now, Jason stares out at the sea with Chopper by his side as the two ships take off behind them. The boy looks up and watches his mother fly
Oh
off
gosh, I
over
know
his
this
head.
whole thing. He just wants to
Now,
ride.
Anakin twirls his blue lightsaber as he presses his attack. Still on the defensive, Asoka retreats toward a section of the celestial pathway that widens into a circular platform. Anticipating her opponent's move, she angles her katana behind her back for a block. She then delivers a flying roundhouse kick that connects with Anakin's face. He pauses and grins at her.
Looks like you don't have much left to offer.
I haven't touched you.
He strikes at the pathway between him and Asoka, causing the circular platform to shatter like glass beneath her feet. She falls amid the twinkling particles of stardust into a bed of clouds that grow pink in color the further down they go, until she disappears entirely from view. The condensation settles into a stagnant mist.
Dude.
At its center, Ahsoka's silhouette picks herself up from the ground and slowly gets to one knee. She sees a clone trooper running by her, then another. Explosions go off in the distance as more troops race into action wielding long blaster rifles.
Whoa.
A blue saber ignites. Ahsoka races after Anakin in the mist. Explosions light up her teenage features. She shields her eyes from a close shelling, then catches a glimpse of an all-terrain tactical enforcer walking in the distance as Anakin deflects blasts with his saber.
Yep.
Yeah, no kidding.
Huh.
This was one of our first missions. Why are we here?
Tell me.
Another blast lights up the shape of a Republic gunship flying low over the battlefield.
Oh my fucking shit.
Anakin turns
Holy
and heads off.
fuck. Dude, this is fire.
Ahsoka ignites a green saber and chases after him through the mist.
Oh yeah, this
They
is
run
before
over
she had her
the
white.
part of an attack charge while explosions send clones flying into the air around them.
This is your training.
Ahsoka tries to keep up as Anakin leads her into the thick of battle. Deflecting a few blasts with her green lightsaber, the Padawan follows her Jedi Master through the haze of pink mist, which swells to the point that nothing else can be seen.
Oh.
Subsides again slightly to reveal the silhouette of Ahsoka with her two stubby horns as she watches the wounded being carted off on hover stretchers. A medical droid operates in the distance. Padawan Asoka wanders through the mist to one clone left hovering on a stretcher with his gloved hands folded over his white chest armor. She takes a seat on a crate beside him and lays a comforting hand on his arm. With his helmet off and his face wrapped in bandages, he reaches out with his other hand and places it on top of hers. Asoka smiles emotionally and shakes her head.
I love the Clone Wars. Oh my goodness.
She sees Anakin conversing with the clone captain and 2 Twi'leks nearby. Clad in his dark Jedi battle armor, he walks a few paces across the sand toward his young Padawan.
Come on, Snips. The battle's not over yet. There are more separatist droids approaching.
Asoka nods and slowly stands. Releasing her hand from the wounded clone, she starts to follow her master, then stops to watch the
He really
droid
studied
operate
Matt
with patience.
Lantern's voice there. Wow.
Anakin turns back and sees her still standing there.
No problem.
We lost so many.
He crosses to her in the small makeshift medical camp.
There's always a price to be paid.
It was my fault. They were following my orders. I got them killed.
He pulls her aside.
This is war, Asoka. As Jedi, it's our job to lead. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes.
Their mistakes cost lives. That doesn't bother you?
Of course it does.
This
She turns toward the wounded.
isn't what I trained for.
You must adjust to the times. Look, when Obi-Wan taught me, they were keepers of the peace. But now, in this war, I have to teach you to be a soldier.
Asoka shifts her thoughtful gaze.
Is that all I'll have to teach my own Padawan one day? How to fight.
Even your own Padawan.
She shrugs.
You know, teaching's not all cracked up to be.
Really? What makes you say that?
I'm joking.
You're joking.
Yeah, I'm joking.
How can you joke at a time like this?
What would you prefer?
I don't know.
Tell me, what do you want? You want me to be more serious?
I prefer it.
Listen, I'm teaching you how to lead, how to survive. And to do that, you're going to have to fight.
The fog lights up with an explosion.
What if I won't stop fighting?
Then you'll die.
Anakin backs away from her and walks towards the battle while an ATTE lurches to life nearby. Without looking back, he ignites his blue saber. Clones and a Twi'lek run past Asoka, who stands motionless, staring after her master.
Oh, this is on Ryloth, I think. Is it?
He sees his silhouette change to that of Darth Vader with his red lightsaber, then back again to Anakin in his youthful Jedi form.
Whoa.
Padawan Asoka gapes at the eerie sight in front of her. Blaster bolts cut through the smoke-filled air as the shapes of troops and another ATTE surge toward the battlefield. Now, waves crash against the cliffs below the ancient Stonehenge on Cetos. Jason sits atop the terrace, his green hair fluttering in the wind as he watches 3 X-Wings cruise at low altitude over the water. Standing by his side, Chopper swivels and bobs his head. They watch as contrails mist in and out of view behind the 3 low-flying fighters. In his X-Wing, Carson Teva works the controls.
General, how many more times are we going to make this circuit? There's nothing out here.
Try widening your sweep along the coast.
We're going to press our fuel reserve.
I appreciate that, Carson. Now widen your search.
Copy. Over.
He banks left and flies off, followed by the other 2 fighters. The Ghost drops in from above, kicking up sprays of mist with its jet wash. In the cockpit, Hera sits back in her seat.
The Ghost is so cool, dude.
Sabine and Asoka seem lost since they won't be stranded out here.
Luckily, the New Republic is only a short transmission away. I was surprised they changed their mind and approved your mission.
Oh, they never changed their mind. It just came anyway. For all the good it did.
I see. So this mission is unauthorized.
Yeah. Some general I am. Maybe those senators were right. They got us out here chasing ghosts.
You do things your way because you care. This is why people like you.
Giving the droid a surprised look, she yields a faint smile. Then her expression grows more contemplative.
Yeah, where are they? People don't just vanish into thin air.
Well, no. Normally, no.
Is there a chance they're out here?
Always. Especially with Lady Tanner.
Yeah, she is tenacious.
So was her master.
Yeah? What was he like?
Intense.
Mom,
Yes, Jason, what is it?
Chopper thinks he has something heading 323 Mark 157.
Copy, we'll check it out.
Chopper says you're gonna have to get low.
How low?
Pretty low, as low as you can. Just go, Mom, please.
Alright. Droid said low.
Hera pilots them down closer to the sea. The large, chunky freighter descends low enough to get splashed by the cresting waves as it maneuvers around the water's churning surface. Elsewhere, two pale blue lightsabers cut through a heavy orange mist, blocking blaster fire. Padawan Asoka comes charging through the haze and cuts down a group of armored Mandalorian warriors. Fighting with skill and confidence, she takes on a couple of foes wearing horned helmets. She runs one of them through with her katana, then strikes the other one down with both blades at once.
Nice work, Commander. We'll secure the perimeter. Come on, let's go!
The clone commander runs off, leading his troops into the thick of battle. Extinguishing her two sabers, Asoka walks forward to watch. Troopers run all around her, some wearing helmets painted in patterns that resemble her facial markings. Asoka clips her two hilts to her utility belt and folds her arms. She watches a Republic gunship swoop in through the smoke to provide aerial support. Anakin emerges from behind her, back in his unarmored Jedi robes, and looks around at the flurry of activity.
I don't know this guy.
This was the siege of Mandalore. We're part of those by now.
Oh.
It's intense.
It was.
You did well. You're a warrior now. So I trained you.
Is that all?
Asoka, within you will be everything I am. All the knowledge I possess. Just as I inherited knowledge from my master, and he from his. We're part of legacy.
She briefly meets his gaze, then shakes her head and steps ahead of him.
But my part of that legacy is one of death and war.
But you're more than that. Because I'm more than that.
Turning away from the fog of battle, she stares at him directly.
You are more, Anakin. But more powerful and dangerous than anyone realized.
Standing with arms folded, Anakin frowns.
Is that what this is about?
If I am everything you are,
You've learned nothing.
don't say that.
Back to the beginning.
Asoka watches him walk away.
I gave you a choice. Live.
He turns his lightsaber on, this time the blade sparking red. Turning back to Asoka, he reveals his Sith eyes.
Or die. Incorrect.
He strikes at her. She ignites her blue sabers just in time to defend herself. Anakin slowly stalks toward her and continues his assault. Driven backwards by the attack, Asoka blocks every move, then runs circles around the Dark Lord, trying to breach his defenses. As she lunges, he grabs her arm and wrenches it back. She manages to break free, but Anakin kicks her, sending her flying backwards into the mist and re-emerging as her adult self on the Stardust path. She She sees a shape approaching.
It's
Briefly
Vader.
flashes into the silhouette of Darth Vader.
Oh,
Anakin emerges
shit.
from the mist with his red saber.
New action, bitch.
Ahsoka ignites her white sabers and counters his blows as she rises to her feet. Launching powerful strikes, Anakin drives her back along the Bridge of Light. She puts up a snarling defense, spinning back and forth with slashes and kicks. Their three blades lock together for a moment. Then Ahsoka blocks another move with just her shoto as Anakin seizes the wrist of her katana-wielding hand.
Time to die.
He strikes the shoto from her hand, then kicks the katana out of her other hand, causing her to drop down onto one knee. As he slashes down at her, she maneuvers behind him and relieves him of his weapon. He finds the lightsaber held up by his throat. Its blade casting a pale red light between them, Ahsoka moves in toward her former master and inches the weapon closer for the kill stroke. His Sith eyes gaze at her intensely as she disengages the saber. She lets it drop into the void below.
I choose to live.
She stares fearlessly at Anakin. His brow pinched in acrimony, he takes a few steps back from her. His expression softening, he closes his eyes and tilts his head downward. Ahsoka heaves a calm sigh as she watches him. He raises his head and looks at her again, his eyes restored to their natural blue. Flashing a warm smile, he nods at his old Padawan.
There's hope for you yet.
Our view passes behind Ahsoka's striped head.
That was cool.
She looks around, then turns back to find her late Jedi Master gone. She takes a step forward on her cosmic walkway. The stars start falling from the black void around her, drifting down like snowflakes. She appears mirrored in an inky dimension below, which rises up until the strings of light from her walkway and its reflection meet in a single thin band, which then extinguishes entirely. Ahsoka is left standing in a black sea against the crumbling starfield. The oily water rises up around her body, reaching her lightsaber hilts, then the tips of her striped headtails. As it nears her face, she takes a calm, meditative breath and closes her eyes. She lets the water consume her in its infinite emptiness. A trickle of light penetrates a rippling surface above to reveal Ahsoka suspended in a sea with her limbs outstretched. As the light focuses on her face, her eyes slowly flutter open. She sees the bright beam roving around the surface above, its intensity diffused into flickering offshoots by the motion of the sea. Ahsoka blinks calmly. An X-Wing pilot drops into the water in front of her wearing a tether. Swimming to Ahsoka, she turns the Jedi around, hooks her with an arm, and guides her out of the murky depths. The two of them break the water's surface under the harsh, misty glare of the headlights. The Ghost hovers just above the waterline with Lieutenant Lander on its open front ramp. He helps pull the two aboard. He lays down the unconscious Ahsoka. She groggily comes to.
That episode was fire.
At the clifftop henge, Jason and Chopper sit on the edge of the dais, watching dawn break over the sea. The boy's eyes widen and his face lights up with a toothy grin. As the ships fly in, he gets to his feet to watch the Ghost swoop overhead. They watch as the
Ahsoka
hunting
steam?
touches down in front of the red forest. Then the scene wipes away to the interior of the T6 Jedi shuttle. In the dim connecting hall between the cockpit and common room, Ahsoka sleeps on a lower bunk. A soft light comes through the windshield and lands on her, resting atop the brown leather cushions. Slowly, she opens her eyes. Without moving, she looks around and gets her bearings, then closes her eyes again and takes a deep, peaceful breath. She sits up. Propping herself up on her elbows, she scans her surroundings again before sitting up on the edge of the bunk. The lights power on throughout the corridor and cockpit.
Welcome back, Lady Tanner.
Yang enters with a cup held in his hands.
How long have I been out?
One rotation. However, you might have been lost for good, if not for Jason.
Jason, sir.
With his mother and a squadron of X-Wings. All unauthorized, of course.
Taking the cup, Asoka rests her elbow on the upper bunk and smiles to herself, but her smile quickly fades.
And Sabine.
No, we have not found her. We were hoping you could explain what happened.
Yang presents her with one half of the broken star map. She eyes him with apprehension before taking the scorched semisphere into her hand and studying it. Her contemplative gaze turns toward the daylight outside the cockpit. Later, she exits the T6 shuttle onto the henge where Hera stands watching Jason play with Chopper. Yang follows her down the boarding steps. Wrapped in a pale, rough-knit cloak, Asoka crosses the henge. Jason and Chopper chase each other in circles.
Asoka!
The boy runs over to her with a smile. As they share a hug, Hera looks on, beaming.
Oh, you have things.
I heard you fighting.
We did.
Yeah, lightsabers. Who are you fighting with?
I have an idea. Yang, why don't you show Jason inside your starship?
I've been in a starship before.
A Jedi starship?
Come along, I'll show you the training room.
You have a training room in your starship? Will you train me?
No.
You know how to hold a lightsaber?
Yes?
Can you teach me?
No.
The two old friends watch them depart.
I know you just
Asoka holds up the broken map.
last time I saw Sabine. She was really nice.
Not significant?
But I've left an impression on it. Like a memory.
So we'll know what happened.
Possibly.
She crosses to the pedestal at the center of the henge. Closing her eyes, she squeezes her fingers a little tighter around the scorched metal semisphere. Our view slowly rotates around her as she concentrates.
Oh, she has that too? A memory. Sorry.
What did you know?
You were done. Sarah Connor. With me, I give you my word. No harm. Sabine, you will be my little friend. Do it. For Ezra.
Asoka opens her pale blue eyes and looks around, processing. She lets out a deep sigh. Hugging the star map to her poncho, she turns around to face Hera.
Go with them.
And she's alive.
Yes. At least she was when she left Satan's.
We have to go after them.
Ahsoka's eyes gaze off toward the sky over the sea, then shift gradually back toward her friend.
I'm afraid. It's not that simple.
While Hera gazes at her bemusedly, Carson walks up.
General, we have a problem.
What else?
It's the fleet. They're on their way.
They're a little late.
I don't think they're coming out.
She turns back to Ahsoka with an annoyed smirk.
I'll deal with this. You can work on a way to find Sabine.
Chopper's like, whoa.
Hera, Chopper, and Carson head for the Ghost, leaving her alone on the henge. Asoka blinks to herself, then holds her eyes closed for a moment. She looks at Sabine's helmet resting on a broken slab of rock nearby, with its two painted white feathers tracing up from the brows of the visor. Her eyes shift downward to the piece of map in her hand as she turns around to face toward the sea. She idly fidgets with a hefty chunk of metal. Her eyes glance upward as she blinks thoughtfully. Her gaze focuses on the dark silhouettes of Purgle flying through the clouds, trailing their massive squid-like tentacles. A view looking down upon Asoka shows her standing in a center circle on the segmented henge, with markings and symbols carved throughout the stone dais. Now, Carson and Hera face a hologram of Chancellor Mon Mothma in the cockpit of the Ghost.
You can't be serious.
Do you have Morgan Elsbeth in custody?
No.
Do you have evidence of Imperial remnant activity or of Grand Admiral Thrawn's return?
No.
I'm afraid there's nothing more I can do. You and Asoka Tano are to return to Coruscant with the fleet.
I'm not sure she'll agree to that. I'm not sure I agree to that.
Hera, the Senate Oversight Committee is going to determine if your command should be permanently suspended. You are going to need her testimony to help you. I'm sorry.
The hologram blinks out. Hera looks at Carson, who shakes his head.
I don't know how you score this, but we're losing right now.
They turn to see Asoka entering the cockpit.
I know how to follow Sabine.
She flashes a cunning smile. Later, her T-6 Jedi shuttle lifts off from the rugged grounds alongside the henge. Its 4 blue engines flare and propel it off over the ring of stone slabs toward the sea, followed by the ships of her allies. The T-6 and the Ghost break off from the 3 X-Wings as they all gain altitude into the cloudy sky. Hera flies with Jason in the co-pilot seat and Chopper between them.
I'm not sure I like this plan.
Yes, I would like to second that.
There's no other way. Without the map, we don't have the proper hyperspace coordinates.
Ahsoka's T-6 leads the Ghost through a clearing in the cloud layers.
Anything they do?
Only one way to find out.
The Jedi shuttle soars onward with its broad, red-striped wings in a horizontal configuration. Ahsoka leans casually on her control console, scanning the clouds outside. She straightens in her seat. A pod of Purgle emerges from the clouds ahead. Ahsoka watches in awe as the lumbering star whales fly past her cockpit windows. One of the giant creatures casts a shadow over Hu Yang, who blinks his photoreceptors at the sight before him. The two ships find themselves flying counter-traffic with the massive migrating swarm, the Purgle propelling themselves along with the gentle undulations of their fins and tentacles. In the Ghost, Jason gazes with amazement at one of their cetacean heads passing just outside his cockpit window. The spacecraft are dwarfed in scale by the large-bodied whales, which run at least 6 ship lengths long. From the clouds emerges a Purgle that's more than twice as big as some of the others.
Up ahead, I think that is one of the large ones.
Ahsoka takes a look and sees them gliding toward it head-on from a long distance.
Yeah. Got it. Wish me luck.
Smiling, she gets up and leaves the cockpit. Hu Yang watches her go, then shakes his mechanical head. Outside, the upper cabin door opens, and Ahsoka steps out onto the wing of the craft, her pale cloak fluttering turbulently in the wind. She walks towards the front of the ship, watching the Purgle glide to and fro like jellyfish swimming through the sky. Her serene gaze shifts around the pod, then turns downward. An enormous bulbous head with fleshy, whisper-like protrusions swells up in front of her as the largest of the Purgle crests the top of the ship. Ahsoka finds herself faced with the sheer slope of the whale's cratery upper snout. Jason stares out his window at the T-6 hovering like a fly in front of the mouth of the behemoth.
No good, Carson. They can't interrupt or frighten the pod.
How much time do you need?
I don't know, just don't let them approach.
In space, 3 New Republic ships leap out of hyperspace. The lead craft cruises past our view, offering glimpses of open hangar bays on its starboard side and of a connecting spar that links the main cabin with an outboard engine block. The starships head towards the planet of Cetos, where small patches of red dot the otherwise aquamarine surface. The 3 X-Wings soar out to meet the small fleet. On the bridge of the lead ship, an Ishitid first officer steps behind the captain in her central chair.
This is Captain Tava out of the Delphi base. Please identify yourself.
Captain Tava, why aren't you far from home?
Repeat, please identify yourself.
Captain, you know very well who we are, why we are here. Now, where's General Syndulla?
I'm afraid that's classified information. In fact, you're going to have to halt your approach to the planet until I receive confirmation that the General has indeed completed her mission.
Captain, the reason we are here is because there was no mission.
Carson bobbles his head.
I respectfully disagree.
Look, we're all on the same side here. Tell us what Asoka Tano and General Syndulla are up to, and perhaps we can help.
The best way you can help is to maintain your distance until I can confirm that General Syndulla has completed her mission.
On the tractor beam.
Tractor beam powering up, Captain.
I'll give you one last chance, Captain Tava. Explain the nature of this mission, or I will see to it that you are
I don't think you can explain it.
a direct order from Fleet Command.
Okay, but you're not going to believe me.
Meanwhile, Jason continues to watch Asoka with the Purgle.
Is she really gonna talk to them?
That's the idea.
It's just like the stories you told me. How the whales came from far away.
Save them.
Now they'll take Asoka to where Ezra is?
That's the hope.
Hera flashes her son a loving smile. Out on the wind-swept wing of her T6 shuttle, Asoka scans her gaze up and down the gentle giant, then extends one hand and closes her eyes. A view from one side of the behemoth's head shows a starry blue eye pivoting to watch the craft in front of its closed mouth, with the Jedi appearing no bigger than a speck of dust. The Purgle's soft bellowing causes turbulence on the stationary ship as the whale opens its jaws to reveal a dense curtain of baleen hairs draped from the inside of its gums. From the cockpit, Huyang watches the chasm of its gaping maw fill the entire view of his canopy. A tongue the size of an island gently settles within the mouth. Asoka lowers her outstretched hand, opens her eyes, and smiles. Back in the cockpit,
Hey! Get in there.
Huyang sees her outside the windows.
Move ahead.
All right. But you best come back inside.
With a smirk, she glances toward the Purgle before heading in. Moments later, the T6 flies inside the whale's open mouth. Asoka enters the cockpit and clamps a hand on Huyang's metallic shoulder before taking her seat. Darkness envelops them. The droid blinks his glowing yellow photoreceptor.
Nice.
The T6 rotates within the chasm of the whale's mouth until it's facing outward again. The cockpit windows show the behemoth's baleen gums begin to close, sealing the ship off from the outside world. Clamping its mouth tight, the Purgle flies onward.
Looks like the regular recipe was taken.
I have no idea.
What?
No idea. We'll just see where it goes.
It could go anywhere.
Oh no. That's better than going nowhere.
Arms folded, she smiles at the droid, who slowly turns his head forward and blinks. As their giant whale gains altitude, the Ghost flies alongside it and passes over an enormous fin gently rippling along its flank. Meanwhile, on the fleet's lead ship,
Correct. The whales will transport her and her ship, or at least that's the plan.
Captain, I'm receiving a signal from the Ghost.
Captain Gerard, this is General Syndulla. Move your fleet out of there.
The captain's eyes widen as she sees the entire Purgle pod flying right toward her.
Evasive maneuvers. They clear up their path.
A cluster of migrating whales envelops her starship on all sides, some with their tentacles brushing along the hull. The other two ships soon find themselves overtaken as well. The oblong vessels squeeze through the massive tentacles. From the bridge of the command ship, the captain and her crew look around in wonder as the body of the largest Purgle completely fills up their viewports. The first officer pivots his eye stalks to take it all in. The colossal star whale passes close along the port side of the vessel. X-Wing Lieutenant Jensu chuckles in awe as she observes it. Watching from their own X-Wings, Lander gets eclipsed by a large shadow, and Carson wears a delighted grin. The Purgle open their tentacles to reveal a neon blue glow emanating from their hindquarters. The Ghost tails along with the largest whale.
Asoka. Looks like they're about to jump.
Sorry you can't make the trip.
That's alright. Jason's too young to travel between galaxies.
Kara, I'll find you.
I promise. May the force be with you.
Kara smiles as she watches the Purgle spread out their tentacles into starfish patterns and start zipping off into hyperspace. From inside the mouth of their whale, Asoka and Liang are inundated with a brilliant white glow as they make the jump to light speed. Left in their wake, a spinning view of a starfield cuts to black.
Oh, okay.
While titles appear,
That
our
kicked
view
ass.
follows a golden trajectory line on a journey through various corners of the galaxy.
They're gonna go to a whole new galaxy, bro. Yo.
Speech on.
They're gonna go to a whole new galaxy. What do you
Close.
guys think
Button.
of that?
Off. Finish. On. Off.
Holy shit.
On. On. Orientation is locked. Off. Live. 0.
That's
0 watching now. 0 likes. Live. Finish. 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 Button.
They better explore the galaxies. Alright, boys. I'm gonna head out.
Finish. Alert. Are you sure you want